Welcome back to day number 2 of our 30-day Q&A challenge. And our question today is pretty unique because it is asking about an experience that our horses can only have one time in their lives. And I'm going to share with you exactly what I look for and expect during that once-in-a-lifetime experience that our horses have. But before we get into that, I mentioned this just briefly yesterday, and I want to be more blunt and more straightforward with you about this, and that is that we have been busy creating an ebook on being the best leader that you can be for your horses. And for anyone that's been around our content, that has been in our communities, you guys know how important it is to me, not just the equine and our horses' education and development, but also I am extremely a big advocate of our own personal development so we can better serve our horses as the leaders that they need us to be. And so that's exactly what we've been designing this ebook for. It's totally free. You can get this ebook, and it's not just an ebook, but it is also a workbook because we're giving you tactical things that you could implement instantaneously as soon as you read that ebook. And it gives you a workbook format to go through this and things that I have personally implemented in my life over the many, many years that has served me drastically with becoming the best leader for my horse. So we're going to be sharing that with you probably tomorrow. So you're going to want to tune in for day number 3 because we're going to have that ready to rock and roll for you. We've got the ebook pretty much done. We just have to get it to where you can click it and you can download it, and it's totally yours for free, no strings attached there. So let's go ahead and get into this question here. Here's the question, and it came from Renate R in our CDOH, our Colton Woods Horsemanship Facebook community group. You can bring that. There's no fee to get in that. You guys can find that. And so what do you think a horse has to understand or know before you put on the first ride? So this is a really special question for me personally, as well as for many of you out there, because anyone that has a horse, that horse has gone through a moment called a first ride, and they only ever have one first ride. Now, I've been blessed to start hundreds of horses and have been able to be in the saddle when that horse has that first ride. And there's something truly special about that moment. And with great opportunity comes great responsibility. And I'm a big advocate of making sure these horses are prepared. So in order for me to really answer this question, you need to understand what I expect from my horses on that first ride. And I could give you the diplomatic answer of it depends on the horse. And it 1000% does. It absolutely depends on the horse. But at the end of the day, the underlying principles and the themes that we're looking for in each horse are the exact same. And so the number one thing that I really am looking for on that first ride is not necessarily a checklist of the horse has to do this, has to do this, has to do this, has to do this, right? I am not an advocate that the horse has to walk, trot, canter on that first ride. I used to think that. And then I've grown and I've developed my philosophy on it. What I really look for and I expect on that first ride is I am seeking for that horse to give me their very best effort. If I can seek for that horse to give me their very best effort on that first ride, and I can acknowledge and recognize to that horse and say, hey horse, I notice that you're giving me everything that you feel like you can give me on this ride, then I am laying that mental foundation for our relationship for the rest of that horse's life. I'm setting a precedence of telling that horse, hey, I understand this is something totally new to you, and I recognize you're giving me your very best. Or I might have a horse that's not giving me their very best, and then I can work with them and say, hey, I recognize that you're kind of goofing off, or you're doing this, or you're doing that, and I'm here to show you that I just need you to give me your very best. And on that first ride, it can look like a lot of different things. Some horses, and we'll get into the specifics of this, but some horses might be able to walk, trot, canter, and go right out in the field on the very first day. I've had those horses. And the reason that we can go do those types of things is because the horse is in a mental state of mind where they're totally cool with it. It's no big deal to them, and they're giving their very best effort, and that is opening the door for possibilities. Whereas I've ridden other horses where the very first ride, their best effort was to try to stay focused and relaxed and maybe walk and trot around the round pen, right? But it was more of an ordeal. It was more of a mental stressor for those horses on that first ride. And so their very best effort might just be walking and jogging or trotting around and just really trying to maintain focus and trying to stay in a more relaxed state of mind and not checking out and going to a save yourself type state of mind. You can have, that's the complete contrary. But the horse could still be doing their very best to try to figure out what is being asked of them. So on that first ride, I really want them, I'm looking for that very best effort, and I want them to get comfortable with me being on their back. Okay, so I do not consider a first ride if I just go, and if I swing a leg over them and I sit on them. But I don't go anywhere. I don't ask them to go anywhere. That's not a first ride. That's just me sitting on the colt. Because sometimes I'll do that. I'll have a young horse and I'll just swing a leg over them and I'll just sit on them and rub them at the end of a session, and then I'll get down and I'll unsaddle them and put them up. And then the next session, I might actually put that first ride on. But that first ride to me is when I swing over and we go somewhere. We go somewhere together, and I'm sticking with that colt and I'm going with them. Now, I like to change one thing at a time. So I've done all my prep work that I would go through, all my groundwork or my round pen work or whatever I go through to get that course ready. And when I go to step on them, I want to keep the themes very much similar and very much the same with that young horse, to where almost the only thing that changes is me getting on their back, because I want them to be able to focus on me being there, and then me being able to reassure them and say, hey, you know, you already know what to do. It's just now you've got this cowboy guy on your back. All right. So the next thing is what does that horse really need to know? Okay. And in a basic sense, that horse needs to understand how to yield to physical contact at the very least. Okay. So that could look like a couple of things. And this would all be done in my prep work leading up to actually riding that horse, which would be if the horse truly understands how to yield to physical contact, they might know how to conduct a lateral flexion to where I could bend their head left and right. So they would know how to do that. This is all principally driven, but then I've gone through specific exercises to prepare these colts for that first ride. So I would have done exercise like a stirrup driving exercise where I take the stirrups, and there's two different ways to do this. There's one where I desensitize the horse and I build some confidence and I kind of get them a little more quiet about things that could cause them to mentally check out. And then there's the other part where I actually use the stirrup from the ground and bump them in the side and show them that they can yield away from that physical contact. They understand how to yield away from the pressure that will be similar to my leg from the ground once I get on them. And so I really want to have my horse, and that's a mental concept. Remember, yielding to physical pressure is a mental concept that can be transferred, but I can use specific exercises to get that horse prepared for that experience. But at the end of the day, I want them to feel like, I want them to have a basic idea of how to yield to that physical contact. And then the other part of this is the mindset. So with the mindset, and I just took a few notes because I want to stay on track with you guys, otherwise I can talk for an hour and I don't want to take up all y'all's time. So I will also, in the mindset when I'm starting colts, what's really important to me is that the horse has some coachability, and that comes down to the horse. How much prep work do I have to do to get the horse to have coachability? And when and why do I want him to have coachability? I want him to be able to be coached in moments of uncertainty, okay? I want my horse to be able to be coached in moments of uncertainty, because at the end of the day, they've never been ridden, and I can do all sorts of prep work. I can pony them from another horse. I can do all types of things with this young horse, or with this horse that's being started under saddle, but they've never been ridden before. And so I can do all the prep work, but I want them, I do understand there's a possibility that when they go for that first ride, they could get a little concerned. And in those moments of concern, I want to be able to step in there, and whether that means that I take a hold of the halter. I usually ride mine in the first couple of rides in a halter, so I might be able to take a hold of that halter and redirect their body, but also redirect their mind so that I can get them to mentally check back in with me. If I can make a physical adjustment and make a change in the mind, that horse is coachable. Usually, if the change in the mind is something I'm looking for, right? They're connecting and coming back to me. I really want to have that in my young horses, or I say young horse, in these colts that are being started, because that means that we can navigate uncertainty together, and that can keep us both safe. But the fact of the matter is that if I have an extremely sensitive horse that lacks a lot of confidence, that maybe lacks focus, and therefore they have a little higher anxiety, I'm going to spend more time getting that horse prepared for that first ride. I have set up our entire program with the way we train horses and the way we teach people to train horses is that the key to success is in your preparation. But I've had horses that come in and they have a great mindset. We started some lack in the fall. The first ride, the first day we had them, they were saddled and we rode them walk, trot, canter in the round pen. Second day, they were in the arena with just the halter on. The halter wasn't even tied around with reins. We were still flipping the lead rope back and forth over their ears. And the third day, we rode them out around the farm for a ride for day 3, 4, and 5. We rode them all over the farm because they were really good-minded horses, and we just went at their pace, and they kept saying, yeah, I'm good with this, green light, go, let's keep going. And if we ran into something they got concerned with, we would back off and we work on it a little bit. But ultimately, we were just getting them comfortable with us being on them while keeping them mentally engaged and them having fun with the experience that we were going. So there's both sides. I get both of them. I've had those colts that they're super fun. You're like, heck yeah, we could start a colt off the colt if we wanted to. And then I've had other horses where they need a couple weeks of just really solid groundwork to develop the mindset that will in turn serve us when we go to ride them. When we work, a lot of times when I do the physical exercises for preparing those horses for that first ride, which is all my groundwork and round pen work, when I go through those exercises, they are learning physical skills, but my focus is on the mental development, right? The physical skills almost become, I'm going to lose track of the word. It's going to become an additional benefit of what the work we're doing, but ultimately I'm really focused on building those mental concepts of building focus, relaxation, trust, understanding, confidence, willingness, and all of those good pieces that we want to have in our horses, because that will serve them no matter where they go, any discipline, any experience, if we have a strong mental mindset. So what do you think a horse has to understand or know before you put the first ride on? It's really a good frame of mind, and how we get there depends on the particular horse, and ultimately trying to just change one thing at a time, wanting that first ride, that very special moment, to be one where I'm just putting myself in the saddle and keeping all the underlying principles and the exercise the same. I hardly ever even steer on that first ride. I'm just letting that colt explore, and I have them in a round pen and they're able to go through. But anyway, guys, that is our day number 2 here on our 30-day Q&A. If you guys want to learn more about our program, and here we've got plenty of content, over 175 videos on YouTube. You can find us at Colton Woods Horsemanship there. We have our website, coltonwoodshorsemanship.com, with a free video library all set up, ready to go for you, as well as Instagram, our Colton Woods Horsemanship Facebook community. You can find us on TikTok. We've got some game, and we gotta up our game there. But also, you can find us on the Heart of Horsemanship podcast on Apple, Android, Spotify, all of those good places where there's conversations, deep dives into horsemanship, as well as great interviews with different horsemen and women from all over the world. So we really, really appreciate y'all tuning in for day number 2 of our 30-day Q&A. Be sure, send us a DM or jump in and go join the Colton Woods Horsemanship Community. And therefore, you can get your questions answered as part of this series. And if you guys are interested in that ebook that I mentioned earlier, go ahead, comment down below, and we're going to do our best to have that ready for day number 3, and we'll send you guys that link directly. So thanks so much for being a part of this. We cannot wait to talk to you guys again tomorrow.